Yo, what's up, good people? This is Hoggy in the place to be, representing live and exclusively right here on Rib Shack TV. And today, tonight rather, excuse me, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little ride around Dubai with me as I fly in VR. Now, in order to do what I really want to do this evening, which is to discuss attack helicopters and DCS world, it would be real cumbersome and strange to do so if I were to do it with the helmet on. So I decided to just take a little video and do some fun stuff, and then we're going to talk about fun stuff, namely, like I said, attack helicopters in DCS world. Now, look, the Gazelle and the Huey and the MI8, man, they are great helicopters. They're awesome, but tonight what we're going to do is we're going to talk about natural born killers. We're going to talk about helicopters that were bred to kill, namely armor, and the ones that are in DCS world. Now, I figure we might as well start off talking about the one that is not in DCS world, but I thought I had seen some news about it, and that's the Cobra. I thought I saw some news about Bell Simtech releasing a Cobra at some point. I don't know. I have no idea. It was just a rumor. Forget about it. No big deal. The problem is that the airframe is actually, it's in the game, but it's not completely modeled. So, let's talk about this thing right here, the KA-50. And the fact of the matter is that attack helicopters aren't anything new to DCS world. This module is, I believe, the oldest module that exists for the game. If it isn't, the SU-27 or perhaps the A-10. Anyway, though, my relationship with this airship, with this helicopter, was very much limited, considering that I'm a Westerner, I'm an American. And really, the only time I really had a discussion, if you will, with this aircraft, well, the first time I did was Falcon 4.0. And, obviously I'm flying an F-16 and I'm encountering KA-50s. That's a pretty loaded deck. I mean, I really abuse these things in every way possible, with sidewinders, with guns, with AMRAAMs. I mean, it was amazing what I actually did to these things, man. I just slapped them around the 38th parallel, man. I treated them any way that I wanted to. But when this finally got on sale and I picked it up, it was probably one of the most challenging airframes that I've ever tried to learn. And after I learned it, it was one of the most gratifying, one of the most rewarding. This is a great aircraft. I love it to death. And if you don't keep it checked, it's got the ability to kill a lot of armor. I mean, it's got 12 missiles and rockets and a pretty powerful cannon that has got a nice good swivel on it. But like I say, it's a one-man band. You're just one guy flying this thing, and it requires a lot of concentration. Part of the reason why I decided to go ahead and fly this first, and then talk to you guys after the fact. Other than it's really goofy trying to do that with a helmet. It's extremely uncomfortable too, but it's actually worth it when you're doing this. This is very enjoyable. Anyway, though, a lot of people, when they think about DCS world, they think about more or less the planes, the F-16 and the A-10 and the MiGs and all of that good stuff, man. They're really popular airframes, and that's understandable. As far as helicopters go, my exposure to them was quite limited when I was young. My favorite thing was jets, man. I was all over jets ever since I was 8. And I could understand helicopters. I just didn't really dig them like that. I just didn't really feel them like that. They were cool and everything. But later on, you mature, you get exposed to different things. And I think the first thing I really messed with that really showed me that they were cool was a game called Gunship 2000. I think I played that on my 386. I can't remember the year. Maybe 89, something like that. But you had a chance to fly the Cobra. You had a chance to fly the Apache. I think the Black Hawk was in there too. I don't know. I can't remember. It was a very difficult game, but it was really cool, and it allowed me to gain a lot of respect for these airframes, man. It really gave me the chance to dig into it. And after that, I kind of left it alone for a while, you know, and I did some World War II stuff. That was when Secret Weapons of the Luftwaffe came out, their finest hour, and we'll have another discussion about that. That's a pretty long discussion as far as sim history and what I dig and, you know, what I like to do. It's not the prettiest helicopter I've ever seen, but hey, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. This thing is definitely dangerous. But back to the subject at hand, man. I didn't really mess with helicopters very much up until I gave take-on helicopters a try. And I flew around in a helicopter a lot in DayZ. And then I picked this up, and man, this was really cool. It was awesome. It was great. I learned a lot about helicopters, especially the old Vortex ring. But the really interesting thing about what's about to happen is the Hind is coming out as well as the Apache. Now, we'll talk about the Hind last. Let's talk about the Apache for a little bit before we get into Dubai. So, a lot of you older guys are familiar with a Jane's game called Longbow 2. Hopefully, you had a chance to experience it. A lot of people will tell you, and I agree with them, that Longbow 2 is the absolute, well, up until what we hope when it comes out here, Longbow 2 was the best Apache simulator that ever released. It was very pretty with the new 3D effects and the new kind of technology that was coming out back then. James was on fire, actually. You know, with ATF and U.S. Navy fighters, a lot of those games were really cool up until World War II fighters. It seemed they kind of fell off. Anyway, though, as far as chopper sims go, Longbow 2 is, I think it's an important title to discuss when it comes down to the history of PC helicopter sims, especially if you're dealing with attack helicopters. And man, that game was immensely immersive. It actually had a 3D view that was basically a first generation iteration of what we're looking at right now. And this was 95, I believe, 96, something like that. There was also another Apache simulator that released. It was called Apache, and that was also, I believe, around about the same time, 96. We'll link to this stuff when we put it up. But the important thing to note is that both simulators allowed for multiplayer co-op in the same helicopter. And I don't remember the last time I was able to do that since then. Important note, and once again, we'll talk about this when we talk about the Hind later. The same people, I believe, Digital Simulations, who developed the Apache simulator, simply named Apache, they also made one for the Hind, which was awesome. And it also had pilot gunner multiplayer, same vessel. It was great. I don't think we were playing over the internet back then. Might have been using serial cables. I don't know. Either way, patch cables. That might have been it. But the thing that is so exciting about what's happening in DCS world in these attack helicopters that allow for co-op multiplayer in the same airframe is that we haven't seen it in over 20 years, man. Very, very long time. So this is a very, very exciting time to be a rotary head, especially if you like attack helicopters. You know, once again, I'm not trying to dig on you know, helicopters that really aren't natural born killers, but, you know, for the sake of brevity and the subject at hand, we're going to talk about the sharks. Okay, so anyway, the KA-50, yeah, great helicopter, love it, especially after I learned how to fly it. The Apache, I got experience with it with Longbow 2 and the Apache Simulator, and I'm looking forward to that. But before that actually comes out, we're going to get the Hind first. And you got to admit, man, these two airframes are probably the most iconic attack helicopter airframes. The Apache and the Hind. You got the Cobra in there too, obviously, and there's some other ones. The KA-52, I think it's the Alligator, something like that. Weird looking thing. Looks like a duck, but you know, it's still just as dangerous as the other helicopters that we were talking about, especially when it comes down to killing armor. That's what they're for, and withstanding when armor gets pissed off and shoots back. You know, I mean, they got armored cockpits, and that's something that I don't know if the Mi-8 has. It may. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm almost certain that the Gazelle doesn't, and I think that the Kiowa is also lightly or not armored. And these are light little zippy helicopters, man. They move and scoot. They spot stuff. They can shoot things. They can move mud, but they're just not as apt to do it as attack helicopters. Like, most attack helicopters can actually kill planes in the right situation. But again, what they're really meant to do is come in low, nice and quiet. Nobody can see them. And scare the crap out of you when you least expect it and get out of there. At least that's what I think. And again, I'm speaking from a sim pilot point of view. I'm a civvy. Never even touched any of these kind of things. It's just I've flown them ever since I was a kid. And I'm 44 years old now, so that makes doing things like this kind of easy for me. A lot of practice. Anyway, though, I'm not trying to say that kind of stuff is extravagant or elite or anything, but I will say that VR and HOTAS makes it a lot easier to do than not. Had a recent discussion with a good buddy of mine concerning VR and FOV and DOF, depth of field. And I might make a little video about that. I don't know, but he brought up a great point that VR utilizes depth of field extremely well because of its projection. And as far as using monitors, that's great for FOV, field of view. It doesn't cut it out as far as VR. And if you've ever used VR, you know that what you're really doing is you're moving around the screen basically through a pair of paper towel rolls. That's what you got. But what you see, much like some binoculars, the depth of field is awesome. So it doesn't necessarily look like what we're seeing here when I'm in VR, but that's another subject entirely. But it does have a lot to do with what I'm able to do in this game because of the fact that I do play it with VR. And a lot of guys out there, they really bridge the gap. You know, they bring it all together with track IR. And I've never owned that before. I've been flying flight sims for a while, and I never did give it a try. Maybe I should, but I jumped all the way to VR. Maybe we'll scoot back to 0.5. Who knows? But anyway, that's another discussion. Like I was saying, man, what we're here to talk about is attack helicopters and how cool it is this year that two of the craziest ones are going to be coming out. And I'm hoping to see a heck of a lot more chopper pilots out there. You know, I go into DCS World servers and 90% of you guys are in jets, man. It's cool. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying that the glory is in a fighter, generally speaking. I think it was said in Flight of the Intruder, fighter pilots make movies and bomber pilots make history. I guess helicopter pilots make, I don't know, make for a lot of adrenaline, I'll tell you that, man. Make for a lot of adrenaline. Anyway, though, since the Hind is coming out really soon, and you guys have been seeing those videos pop up for the startup and the hover and the takeoff and the the getting going and stuff like that. This is a really, really exciting time. So I decided to break out the new stick and do a little practice in here and talk about it. Now, what's really cool as far as gameplay application, the Hind can carry troops. The Apache can't do that. Therefore, if you're talking about things that you can do, certain missions and such, you'll be able to drop troops off. You can pick troops up, maybe take part in search and rescue missions, things like that. And they also sling load, if I'm not mistaken. I think the load isn't that much. It's not like a utility helicopter like a Chinook or something like that, or Mi-8, exactly. But it can do that. I've seen settings for it in here, but I've never done it with the Ka-50. I will say this, I don't think the Apache can do sling load. It may be able to. We'll find out. But we do know that the Apache's only got 2 seats, so there's no chance of it picking up any troops, dropping them off, anything like that. They strictly kill, which makes it really interesting because the Hind can do a lot of stuff, and it's pretty mean. It's very dangerous. I don't know the specifics of it. Back when I flew it, back in the mid-90s, I don't remember much about it, man. All I remember is it was pretty dangerous. Absolutely. So I didn't need the Rambo movies to know that a Hind can kill stuff. And I don't get a chance to fly them that often. Even though it's pretty interesting that, like I was saying before, as far as PC gaming and simulator history goes, I was able to fly the Apache in 3 simulators, and I was able to fly the Hind in 2. So, pretty cool. Alright, looks like we made our way to Dubai now. And we're going to check out some sites. I'll shut up a second and let you guys take a look. Now, I can put this thing where I want it, but I'm definitely a bit ham-fisted, and you could tell back there where I turned the autopilot off. So this is where it gets pretty interesting. Let's see what happens. The vehicles are destructible, by the way. Yeah, I was looking for that monument over there. If anybody knows what that is, let a brother know. You can land on top of that, by the way. It's actually pretty cool. All right, so we're making our way to what I believe is a hotel. There's a landing pad up here on a building. It's not too tall, but very interesting, very pretty view. We'll end the flight there. Not before we do something fun down this highway, though. Just a little dangerous. Believe it or not, one of the biggest reasons why I just love flying helicopters and simulators is because there's no way you would ever get me on one of these things for real. Nope, not in a million years. Not at all. Not unless it was a truly emergency situation. I would not voluntarily take a ride on anything that's rotary wing. Just that simple. Just a preference. Just my thing. That's what simulators are for. Alright, there's a building. We're going to wind up on that pad up there. And go ahead and end this off. But before we do, it's been pretty awesome sitting here talking to you guys about helicopters, attack helicopters specifically, them coming to DCS World, and how the community is going to take it, how many new chopper pilots we're going to have out there, considering there's not that many, but I understand. The glory in playing the game is, you know, blowing up stuff. It makes total sense. And as it stands, this helicopter is the meanest one, and it's also the oldest one, and you know, new stuff, it gets all the press, man. So I'm looking forward to see a lot of new Hind pilots out there and learning it together as a community. That's for sure. And it looks like it's going to be mid-month. It's June right now, so it looks like that's going to be popping off in a couple of weeks. At least it'll be getting to the open beta with the 2.7. Hope you guys have seen those new clouds. They are awesome. They're awesome. I opted to check them out, and then I backed off of it. I had some stability problems with 2.7. I usually do with the open betas. I'll pop into them and just see what they're about. But either way, I just wanted to go ahead and have some fun in the stable and do some free flight with you guys. And wow, I totally forgot to mention that the KA-50 itself is getting a facelift. A lot of survivability changes, RWR if I'm not mistaken, and I think a new set of air-to-air missiles, some new avionics. Yeah, looking forward to that. So a lot of chopper love coming real soon, next couple of years, hopefully. Hopefully. Can't say. But with them Eagle Dynamics releasing a lot of the Hind videos, the instruction, well, not a lot. We've only seen 2 so far, if I'm not mistaken, but they release a couple, you know that it's coming pretty soon. It's safe to say that I don't think we're going to wait until 2022 for the Hind. And even if we do wait until that for the Apache, that's totally cool. That allows for a lot of time for us to get used to the Hind and learn how to do it. You know, I mean, in a lot of ways, I think it would be sort of a nightmare if all of these helicopters came out at the same time. It'd be really difficult to learn how to fly them. That's part of the reason why I haven't even touched the F-16 yet. Trying to get proficient with the F-18, and then the A-10 got a facelift, and I'm completely lost on them flying it now. It's real difficult to juggle a lot of the aircraft in this game, especially the modern ones. It's a little bit easier to deal with the World War II stuff. But with them adding new units and new maps, the Marianas come in, and along with Syria, it looks like we're going to have a lot of playgrounds to play in when the dynamic campaign finally releases. And hopefully that will be soon after 2.7 hits stable. What a great time to be a DCS sim pilot. Oh yeah. Alright, let's watch me make a mockery of good pilots and ham-fist my way onto the pad. That's interesting. That really didn't happen.